Quarantine Network, you never cease to amaze me. My goodness gracious. You know, we're at almost 11,000 members. Good morning to that. Oh, wow. All right. You are watching Rise and Shine, your first official program. Wild Blossom Beacon Coaching. That's the name that I go by under coaching. But you know me as Cassandra Renee. That's all good. And you know what else is all good? Hanging out in a freaking onesie. That's what this morning is all about for me today. I was like, you know what? It's a little bit chillier today. I'm going to do it all in a onesie, in my hockey onesie. So, good morning. Sometimes, yes, I'm totally going to change in a little while and get into my workout outfit. I'm probably going to do my yoga in my onesie because this thing is huge. I just have to show you because it's like my favorite thing. Real quick. Wait, hang on. Because I hardly ever get to wear it. I live in Las Vegas where, yeah, it gets cold, but it's not that cold. It's one of the onesies with the butt flap. But I love it. Anywho, I had to just kind of bring it out and show you real quick, just because I don't live where it's cold enough to do like a onesie bar crawl often. And even if I did, I don't really go out enough to do that. So gotta get in where I can, right? Anyhow, it was chilly and I wanted to wear it, and it's comfy. And it's quarantine, right? So go ahead and wear your onesies if you wanna. All day if you wanna. I don't know about you, but I totally spent Easter in my PJs all day long, which coincidentally were Golden Knights, like basketball shorts too. So good morning, good morning, good morning. Type in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're from, where you're tuning in from. And let me shut my sound off. There we go. So I can see y'all in real time. Very cool. All right. So today is Transformational Tuesday. What does that mean? That means I'd like you to start thinking about who you need to become to achieve the results you desire. So start thinking about that, and feel free to type in the comments, what are some of the things, some of the results that you are looking to achieve, so that I can help you in real time this morning, get the juices flowing, figure out, okay, what do we got to do? What's our game plan? And speaking of game plan, if you are interested in getting a game plan for your goals, whether it be the next rest of this month, the rest of quarantine, however long that will be, the rest of the year, whatever your goals are, health-wise, fitness-wise. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Catherine. Thank you guys for being here. Whatever your goals are, I just launched a brand new program I'm really excited about. Those of you who get my newsletter, it's in the newsletter. I made the announcement on my professional page, Cassandra Renee, yesterday. And so if you're curious, it's 66 days of PMA, and we're going to get really awesome customized plans for your results for whatever it is your goals are. So if you're curious to know more, send me a message and we will get you the details on that. But there's a special offer for it, and that special offer is only good for 66 hours from when that email was sent. So you have until Thursday at 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're curious, send me a message. Anywho, you don't have to just jump on this deal to have transformations. They happen all the time. And you can have your transformation in a breakthrough in a 15-minute or 30-minute clarity call, which I always offer totally for free. So if you've got something that's going on, good morning, Edward. Good morning, Kristen. Thank you for being here. If you've got something going on that you've been looking to work through, something that you're just so ready to be over, anything like that, and we haven't done a clarity call yet, let's schedule one. Like, what else do you have going on right now? I mean, if you're like me, you probably actually have a lot going on right now, which is cool. But this is the time, guys. This is the time to like dig in and be like, all right, what do I have to do to get where I desire to be? And for a lot of us, we're thinking, oh man, we have to wait till whenever quarantine is lifted. No, you can lay the foundations now. And in fact, now is when we ought to be laying these foundations, whether it's, reading wealth consciousness books to start gearing ourselves towards making the money when the money's ready to come in to get there, or whether it is just priming ourselves for the right mentality to receive love or to receive whatever it is that we're looking to obtain, whatever that goal is, right? So keep in mind that the theme throughout all of today, Transformational Tuesday, who do I need to become to achieve the results I desire? So good morning, good morning, good morning. Ooh, okay, now I'm starting to be up and about and I'm like, okay, yeah, this onesie, now it was nice and comfy with the windows open. Now I'm getting warm. So bear with me just a moment. I'll put all this hair up. So anywho, while I am fixing my hair, go ahead and type in the comments and let me know what goals you are currently working towards. All right. Do we have any goals? Not yet, but I know they're coming. All right. Well, as the goals are coming, I will just continue on through. Enjoying my ginger tea. And good morning, good morning, good morning. Just being healthier in mind, body, and soul. Great goals. That being said, there is a time and a place for SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive, right? And there's times to daydream and just be like esoteric, like in general, I want to be healthier, which we should always be striving for. Like that should be like our continuous goal, right? Like constantly. What is something for like the next 66 days or the next 90 days? Like if you were a business, the business of Kristen, right? What would the business of Kristen be like, this quarter? Because we're in the second quarter of fiscal year, right? So like, what would the business of Kristen be like? What would her focus be on? If she's in the business of a healthy mind, body, and soul, because we all are, right? Like that is our business, right? It is our business to fill up that body, mind, and soul cup to overflow so that we can be productive humans of society and life, right? Because we're no good to anybody dead, and we're really not that much good to anybody sick. So it's our responsibility to fill up, to charge our battery up to not just all the way full so that we can drain it, but overflow so we can provide and give to the world from our overflow. So that's our business, right? So we're in the second fiscal year and we are being currently challenged by the economy to find alternate sources of revenue to fill up that business, right? So what would be the goal for the next quarter in this fiscal time for maybe even just one of those particular goals? For like maybe what's one thing of mental health that you would be focusing on, or one thing of physical health that you'd be focusing on, or one thing of spiritual health. And I'm all about having big goals, but if you don't have like one particular goal and it's just kind of esoteric, like, yeah, you can make general improvements, but if you have, you're you're going to end up like me before I became a self-love coach, wandering around for 33 plus years going, I just want to be better. I just want to be better somehow. And that's why I became a coach, because I did all of that. And I decided, oh, wait, let me take all of my experience and put it together in a concise way so you can follow this path and not have to take the shotgun approach and just be like, did this work? Bing. Nope. Did this work? Bing. Nope. Did this work? Oh, that worked. Okay, let's go this way. Like, so that's why when you have like these specific goals, because I didn't know what I was looking for, and most of us don't when we're on that path. So I love that you said that, and I'm not picking on you. I actually truly honor and love that you said that, because it's, especially when we don't know, we know that something has to change, but we're not entirely sure how or what, or we're relatively new, or we're getting back into the swing of things. We're just kind of like, well, I don't know, figure it out. Like what I'm doing with my hair. Like, I don't know, I'll just figure it out, toss it up there. You guys love my Buffalo mug? Yes, Spot Coffee. I'm wearing a Las Vegas hockey jersey. I've converted. Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, I also work in conjunction with them, so there's that. But no, I've converted. I'm a Vegas Golden Knights hockey fan, but I'm from Buffalo, and this is my favorite place to visit when I go to Buffalo. So it's my favorite, my Buffalo. Okay, cool. So let's work with this. To replace junk food snacks with healthy snacks. Love it. Love it. And that's a rabbit hole that people can easily, myself, because I'm one of those people that, like, when I go to make a change, I make a change, but then I look like super deeply into it. And I'm like, I go over the top and I overthink things. So, and Kristen, I think you're kind of like me too, if I'm not mistaken. So breathe when it comes to that. Yeah, Golden Knights are awesome. Like, you can't be a hockey fan. Side note, you can't really be a hockey fan and not have some sort of an appreciation for the Golden Knights. Even if they're not like your favorite team, like the underdog story, you gotta have respect for it. I just overrated. Anywho, so yeah, yay. So like balance in all things, right? So when I was making the journey into eating healthy, and replacing junk food, I would look at, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up over what I have when I'm out and about, because I'm going to be kind of militant about what goes in my grocery cart. Because, like, for me personally, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but for me, I only buy certified organic, USDA certified, or OATCO certified. And I literally, when I go grocery shopping, for me, I'm a weirdo, and it's enjoyable for me. Now, I have found that moving forward in my own personal journey, I actually am starting to do, and not just because of quarantine, but I'm starting to do Instacart and stuff just because I have to learn how to delegate and free up time for myself. But I actually find enjoyment and a bit of zen in grocery shopping. And so for me, it would be like, okay, if I can't find certified organic, I have 4 stores that I go to. I'll go to Trader Joe's, Smith's, Sprouts, and Whole Foods in that order. That's like my Mecca journey. And if I can't find certified organic at one, I wait, and then I go to the next one and I buy it there. If it's not there, then I wait and I go to the next one. So that's like the journey that I take. And so that helped me right away. Like, I made a shopping list and kept that. So that helped me right away to just stick to my list. If you can be very militant about that, and just, if it's not on the list, it doesn't go in, boom, that helps. So pre-planning, right? I just made you do push-ups. Why did I just make you do push-ups? What about what I just said made you do push-ups? So yeah, pre-planning, massive help. And then I also started following I didn't plan it, but years and years and years ago, I ordered a pair of shoes, and somehow they came with a subscription to Everyday with Rachel Ray. And somehow, with that, I ended up with more magazine subscriptions. I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but somehow, I don't know how magazines are still in business. I don't. Like, who buys them? I constantly get free magazine subscriptions, constantly, like years worth of magazine subscriptions. And then I got that Mags for Miles thing. Like, I don't know how I keep getting magazines, but I keep getting them. And I haven't paid for a magazine subscription since I was probably like 15, getting 17 magazine. You know, like, I don't know. Anyway, so I ended up with all these healthy cookbooks. And I flipped through and I got like granola bar recipes and all this other stuff. And granted, I also got a lot of unhealthy recipes, but just flipping through that and like, oh, let me try this, let me try that. Hey, Kristen, thanks for being here. And I just saw part of a message I didn't see. You have an orange cat on your cup. Nice. I want to see. Oh, can you send pictures on these comments? I don't even know if you can. I'd like to see it. Show me your mugs. And thank you. I like being a motivator, but motivation is just topical. What I like to do is do the deep work, which we're getting to, but I like this banter too. So, what I don't like is whatever's happening with my hair, though. I apologize on behalf of my head. Where is it going with this? Oh, right. To answer your question about junk food. So pre-planning, right? So getting into, like, what am I going to make? Meal prepping, stuff like that. So planning ahead, setting a list and only shopping based off that list, and then cutting yourself some slack. Hey, Anne-Marie. Cutting yourself some slack in terms of like, it's okay snacking wise or even meal wise. Like, even when I was pescatarian, borderline vegan for about a year and a half. And even when I did that, like, I would cut myself some slack if I had a dish with cheese on it or something when I was out and about, you know, balance in all things. Good morning, Martin. Thank you for being here. So I just find that I can't be too militant in stuff, because then you're just going to go crazy, right? So pre-plan. And by the way, for those of you tuning in, I'm not a meal planning expert, but these are good guidelines. Take them as you will. I'm helping Kristen right now with her example of cutting down on junk food. You can take these guidelines for multiple ways. Find value in what I say, be entertained by the rest, and find ways that you can apply what I say to other aspects of your life, not just the exact thing that I'm talking about. You've been lazy for far too long. Well, quarantine will get you. It'll either drag you down in the doldrums of laziness, or you watch me and you'll get pumped up and you'll learn tips and tricks and all the different ways to get up and get doing things. Good morning, Paul. Thanks for being here. So, pre-plan, set a list, and you see how this can be ascribed to things other than just curbing your junk food habit. Pre-plan, make a list, right? Cutting yourself some slack when it's out of your normal control, right? When you're out, and of course this kind of pertains outside of quarantine, I suppose. But and then of course it's going to be through, you can make yourself a habit tracker. Kristen, I think you're part of my newsletter, right? You received my newsletter. So if you do, I sent out a bonus gift of a 66-day habit tracker. For those of you guys who are not currently receiving my newsletter, send me a DM with your email. I'll put you on it. I just sent out a bonus gift of a 66-day habit tracker. Why 66 days? Statistically speaking, it takes about 66 days on average for people to form habits. And okay, awesome, you do. And so when you are forming these habits, aka new neurological pathways, you are building your neuroplasticity. You are basically reprogramming your brain's GPS for these new thoughts. So when you're going through these affirmations, which we're going to go back through the affirmations that we said yesterday, we're going to go back through them. They're not just a one and done thing. They are like every single day, multiple times a day, while you're brushing. I have clients that say their affirmations to themselves. They read them while they're brushing their teeth. I have clients, and I've done it myself, listen to it on repeat. They've recorded themselves saying it, and they listen to it while they're taking a shower, while they're getting ready for the day, while they're driving to work. These are things that you want to condition yourself as they're falling asleep. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I had trouble falling asleep, and I would have like bad dreams and all this kind of stuff. And my grandmother had she had these like nature tapes, but she also had these positive tapes. And it's so funny, hindsight 2020, go figure, I do what I do now. She had these like power of positivity tapes. I don't know who they were by. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the content was, but I do remember this like soothing voice just talking, saying positive things that put my mind at ease. And I fell asleep, and I stopped having nightmares, and I was able to fall asleep. And it just got into my subconscious programming. And now that I'm thinking about it, which I have not thought about this in probably 20 plus years, whatever those tapes are that my grandmother had, in addition to her love, probably saved my life in no small manner. Like, whatever it was, I wish there was some way I could find out, because I guarantee that set the foundation for when I didn't realize I was searching for personal development work, how I fell into the world of this. I guarantee you that was my neurological pathways saying, oh, we've been here all along. Come find us again. Guarantee you. So that just dawned on me. Anyway, so that subliminal programming, as I've talked about in previous videos, having those like Post-it notes, setting alarms on your phone. You could have it with like, I would love a carrot, or sugar's gross, or, something like that, just different programming, whatever speaks to you in your language. And that's the biggest thing. That's why those of you guys who keep showing up for me, that's why you keep showing up for me. There's something about me that you get, or there's some way about me that gets you. We're speaking the same language. We've got like the similar energy, right? Because I have attempted to watch and read and listen to and attend other speakers that are all saying the same message. And I'm just like, I just can't. Please, someone give this person a shot of adrenaline or something. I know what you're saying. I just can't listen to you. So you have to find it in your own vocabulary. You have to find it in your own way, because somebody can be saying like your parents, right? They can be saying the same thing to you over and over and over, and you won't get it. And then somebody else comes along, and out of nowhere, they're saying the exact same thing, right? And you come home, you're skipping, you're like, oh, guess what I learned today? Da, da, da. And your parent or your significant other is just like, are you shitting me? I've been saying that to you for X amount of years. And you're like, no, you haven't. It's because it's one part when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But it's another part, like if you're not speaking the language, if you're not meeting them where you're at, it's not going to work. So you have to find what works for you, what method works for you. If it's reading it while you're brushing your teeth, awesome. Listening to your own voice on recording, awesome. Listening to me on recording, great. Find what works for you. So pre-plan, make a list, affirmations, Post-it notes, alarms on your phone, that kind of thing. So that's that PMA, positive mental attitude, neurological programming. And also the decluttering, right? Eliminating those distractions. So for those of you just tuning in, I'm giving advice on, well, you could probably be guessing, what could this apply to? Because this could actually apply to a multitude of ways to achieve your goal. Specifically, I'm responding to Kristen's goal of cutting out junk food. But this could totally respond and apply to someone's goal of getting in shape or writing their book, or, so it's just taking what your goal is and chunking it down. So who do you have to become? Transformational Tuesday. Who do you have to become to achieve the results you desire? So Kristen desires to cut out junk food. Well, she has to become somebody who is disciplined in not being around junk food. She has to become someone who no longer desires junk food. She has to become somebody who desires a healthier body more than the emotional satisfaction of consuming the junk food. Now, we have our moments. I ate way more ice cream in the past month than I've had probably in the past year. It happens. I get you. That being said, there's balance in all things, right? There's being human, and there's figuring out, all right, what is my goal? How do I have to get there? Who do I have to become? And it's all mental. You can change the physical things, but that's topical. That's the motivation I'm talking about, Edward. You can change the topical things. You can change your environment, but if you don't take the actions to change internally, and change might be a harsh word, rewire, right? The neurological pathways, reprogramming. If you don't reroute that and change that, you don't set into motion real change, real lasting change. It's like in a relationship, I'll change. You change for the moment because there's that initial stimulus, that initial shock of potentially losing something that you don't want to lose. But then that impetus goes away after you achieve a little bit of desired results. That's why dieting that's why people yo-yo diet, right? Because you have that initial like, oh, I saw a little bit of results. I lost a little bit, or I gained a little bit of muscle. Cool, celebrate. And then you yo-yo back. And it's because you haven't reprogrammed, you haven't set into place, you haven't done those 66 days or more to make it become a habit to where it's a lifestyle. Grant Cardone talks about making your goals, talks about making them part of your ethics. And that's huge because that's where it goes into who do you have to become? You literally have to become your goal before you can obtain your goal, because it has to become your non-negotiable. Now that term doesn't always work for me, but when you're talking about ethics, now that works for me. Integrity, that is a priority for me. It's a big deal for me. When people act out of integrity, businesses lose my business immediately. If somebody is out of integrity, just hit the nail on the head. I'm an emotional eater. Most of us are. You're not alone. And especially modern day humans, we're totally, because we have so many options available to us. We could get into a whole different hour conversation or more about emotional eating for sure. So you have to just eliminate the ability to even have that as an option. And I have eliminated that ability to the point where I have had to throw my phone in the other room and put it on. I have had to hide my phone from myself to avoid Postmating Ben and Jerry's, because I had literally no sugar in the house. And I was just like, but I'm sad. Nope, chick, journal it out. Yeah. You have to, if you're an emotional eater, you got to throw it out. Where's it going? Oh yeah. Making it part of your ethics. Now that works for me. Non-negotiable, that term might work for other people, but if you make it part of your ethics, that's the term that speaks to me, because then it's going against you as a human. Then it's real. Then it's, if I don't do this, I don't love, again, if you've heard me talk before, I've got my very feminine, esoteric, woo-woo mentors, and then I've got my very masculine, hard-headed, no room for error mentors. So I keep my balance there too. And that's where you get me, the happy medium. And I appreciate the value in looking at it from the aspect of, if I don't achieve this goal, it's not that I failed as a person, but I'm not living up to my potential. If I'm not striving for this and it's part of my moral code, this is the ethics of who I am, then I'm not being me. So you have to really, if you really desire to change, if you really desire this, and that's why, changing for somebody else doesn't work. You have to change for you, because changing for somebody else is topical. Changing for you is a change that comes from within. And so you really have to have that internal motivation. And that internal motivation will spark the neurological pathways to open up and be receptive to the change, which for me ingrains in, instead of topically, it seeps in and becomes part of my ethics, part of my moral code, part of my core. And when you can make it that, which is what part of the training is, to make it a habit, 66 days doing something for a certain amount of time every single day for at least 66 days. That's average. Some people it takes longer, some people it takes less. But for doing something for at least 66 days every single day, even multiple times a day, starts building up those neurological pathways to seep in and become part of your moral code so that you will make those changes. So then it's about having compassion for yourself and cultivating forgiveness for yourself, which, lucky for you, we are moving in that direction this week on forgiveness. We're not talking about self-forgiveness today, but we'll get there. So yeah, great question. I'm glad you allowed me to play with that and get a little more specific. And if you like that kind of thing, guys, for those of you who are watching, how I was breaking it down and getting more specific with her, if that's something of interest to you, I do that totally free. It's called a clarity call. It's you and I one-on-one getting real specific, a full half hour of breaking down your goals. And I promise you'll have a breakthrough in that time. So if you're curious, send me a message and we will schedule a one-on-one clarity call with you to get you your breakthrough and get you an actionable plan, something that you can do right away when we get off the call. So anywho, and if you like that idea, I keep saying 66 days. For those of you just tuning in, I just launched yesterday a 66 days of PMA program. There is an offer available. This particular offer is only available for the next 66 hours, which ends from when it launched. So it ends Thursday, 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want the details, DM me with your email address. I've sent all that out, so I can send you all the details about that. Basically, you're going to get a whole package where you get one-on-one coaching with me, you get a customized success plan, you get a private Facebook group where you can get an accountability partner. You will be able to really map out your success and build up exactly what you're going to need to get you to that point, to have that success plan, to build up the neurological pathways, to continue to make those steps and to do and to get the support daily. 66 days of this mug, maybe this mug too, but this mug with you, 66 days, one-on-one and group coaching live. Great deal. DM me for more info. Okay, before we jump into that, what's Edward saying about Ben & Jerry's? I miss making amazing ice cream. It must be the Penn State blood. That's where Ben & Jerry's learned. You make ice cream? Ice cream? Tell me more. Or don't. We've got emotional eaters here. Maybe you shouldn't. That's awesome though. Okay. So, as promised, we were going to kick off the forgiveness episodes with more quotes because I love quotes. Love it. So much wisdom you can learn from them. So, I'm going to start off with the awesome Mahatma Gandhi. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. It's not easy to forgive. Now, forgiveness doesn't always come from the victim. You don't have to be a victim to forgive. And in fact, victimhood is often a choice. You can be a victim in an instant, like something can happen to you, or because everything's perspective, right? Or if everything happens for you, then it didn't happen to you, so you're not a victim. So if you're not a victim, then you don't have to suffer. So it's a choice. So keep that in mind. If that's a bit of a brain teaser, go back, replay the video, and if you have questions, happy to explain that later on. It's a choice. PMA, my friends, positive mental attitude. And that's not to be confused with be happy all the time, because that's not reasonable either. But it's also not about being reasonable, hence the feminine. But the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. It takes courage. It takes strength. Oh, Mahatma Gandhi. And another great man with a great quote, Martin Luther King Jr. You're right, Edward. Life is too short not to forgive. We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. Now, if you recall from my video yesterday, which we're going to apply similar principles in today's actions, when you are, the process of forgiving is cultivating compassion and understanding, not necessarily logical understanding, but understanding for the other person. Even if it's, like I said, illogical, making up a scenario that couldn't possibly exist, just to kind of put yourself in their situation to warrant some way that if it were you, you would desire to be forgiven. Like, let's say the scenario happened as a result of an accident. Maybe it didn't, but if it did, and you were in their position, you would want to be forgiven. It's called that's called compassion and empathy, right? They're very similar. Empathy, having the ability to feel what the other person might be feeling. Compassion, being able to understand where they're coming from. And that's the great thing about being human. We all have that ability. Now, many of us shut ourselves off of that consciously. There are a few people, sociopaths. Narcissists have the choice. Sociopaths have the inability. There is a chemical imbalance where they're actually unable to have compassion. But most of us, and even then, you can train yourself. It might be inauthentic, but most of us have the capacity, the ability to understand, at least to some degree, how someone else might feel. We just choose not to. So if we're choosing not to, we can also choose not to be victims. We can also choose to forgive. And in fact, we should, this is the good should, choose to forgive and choose to not be a victim. Choose to not suffer. Because where's the fun in suffering? This is what you'll get in one-on-one coaching. And this is something you'll learn. And this is great for journaling if you want to dive deeper in it. We're not going to dive deeper into it in this video because we don't have the time. But if you catch yourself in a state of suffering, in a state of refusing to let go, not wanting to forgive someone, ask yourself this question. What am I getting out of not forgiving them? What am I getting out of maintaining the victim? What am I getting out of suffering? Because remember, the whole point of living, we're constantly seeking pleasure. We're either seeking it because we're striving towards it, or we're seeking pleasure by avoiding pain. Even in weird, twisted ways, we're seeking happiness. We're seeking pleasure. So in suffering, in playing victim, in not forgiving, right? Because that's all under the same umbrella. By not doing that, we're getting some sort of satisfaction out of it. Like the constipated child who refuses to poop. They can, but they've got the, the Oedipus complex? Where they realize, oh, I have control over this. I don't have to do it. I don't have control over anything else in my life, but I have control over that. Not gonna do it. Well, it's toxic. They get sick. But they realize, I don't have control over when I eat, what I can do, this and that. But once they realize they have control over their bowels, they take control over that. I was that little kid. Not gonna lie. My grandmother had to bribe me to poop. I had a calendar. And my two older cousins were so mad at me. They thought it was the stupidest thing ever. My grandmother bribed me. There was some stupid doll that I wanted. And if I pooped regularly, I don't know, like a week or 2 weeks in a row or something, like she would buy me this doll and I got it. And my cousins, I remember what it was. It was some like bear doll where with like hot and cold water, it would, I think it peed and pooped too, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, like she would bribe me with this, and my cousins were so mad. They're like, "This is stupid. You can go to the bathroom. You're just not doing it because you don't want to." And I was just like, "Yeah, I figured it out. I can control this. She wants me to go. I don't have to go. And if in not going, she's worried about me not going to the point that she'll buy me something if I go, then I hold the power. So I'm going to wait to go. And then now I've got a prize if I go. So now I'll go." I don't know how old you have to be that conniving and also have to wield control over your bowels. What is that? 4, 5? I don't know. But I did. Little kids do that. And I was getting something out of poisoning myself. Literally. Now think about how many ways we do that emotionally. By playing the victim, by not forgiving somebody. We hold all that in. Only instead of having some prized doll and a checklist saying, as long as this goes according to plan, then this will happen, we keep putting the carrot in front of the horse constantly, but we don't know what's going to happen. So in not forgiving somebody, playing the victim, It's a constant battle of drinking the poison and hoping somebody else is going to die, when in fact you're killing yourself. Like when you're not pooping, when you're constipated, you're literally poisoning yourself from the inside out. You're doing that by holding in your emotions, by holding in the anger and the resentment. Remember when we talked about that lactic acid, that buildup when you're stressing and you're angry? Those emotions have to go somewhere. That's where cancer comes from. That's where all these other random diseases and disease is dis-ease. That's where it originates from. Disease is one word formed from two things: not being at ease, dis-ease. You gotta flush out the emotions. Forgiveness is a cure. I have met several people, and in fact, the last guy I dated, he was telling me like he was having all these ailments. I'm like, are you frequently ill? And he's like, yeah. I go, I know this is a little soon, but did you have kind of a troubled past? From some of our conversations, he mentioned that he was, very misunderstood. Often people would just cancel on him. Like he never had reliable friends or anything. And we had kind of a similar past. And I recognized quite a kinship in him. And when he said, yeah, I'm sick pretty regularly, I said, you have a lot of forgiveness you have to do. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. Forgiveness is a massive cure. I know so many people, like we talked about in previous videos, when kids say they have tummy aches, right? It's tummy ache scientifically has been proven is a child equivalent to anxiety. That's where they feel anxiety. The tummy is fine. Like we talked about my referred pain in my knee. My knee was totally fine. Pain was coming from somewhere else. That's what that is, when you are, especially if it's respiratory or throat issues, forgiveness, guys. Massive. And if you've been choking down things a lot, it'll get down into digestive issues. Forgiveness. Yeah. So, side note to that, do not be surprised as you go through personal development, all of a sudden out of nowhere, you get really sick, especially in this pandemic. It can be scary, but a 24-hour, 48-hour bug, like massively sick, is not uncommon because you're purging all this junk that you've had stuck in you for how many years. Forgiveness, guys, game changer. Hydration, also very important, helps cleanse all that. Teas are also very good. And if you haven't been checking out Quarantine Time with Celeste, so cute, love it. She's on just before me Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. She's adorable. So yeah, so he who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power of love. Remember how we talked about in one of my midday mindset shifts, decluttering, right? How do you expect to, if you've got hands held so tight, I can't pick up my mug. I want my tea, but I can't pick up my mug because I don't have room for it. I don't have capacity for it. You have to make room for it to be able to get it, right? So you have to let it in. You can't have light without the darkness, sure, but they cannot exist simultaneously. They can't. It's like you can't be a little bit pregnant. Either you are or you aren't. Either you've forgiven or you haven't. It's like try. Try doesn't exist. Either you are doing it or you're not. Either I'm walking towards you or I'm not walking towards you. One step is walking towards you. Standing still is not walking towards you. Walking away from you is not walking towards you. Any motion I make towards you is walking towards you. So saying I'm trying to walk towards you, trying doesn't exist. Look up the definition. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what the Webster's Dictionary version of trying is, or try, but it's one of those things just like, no. If you wrap your brain around it, it actually doesn't exist. So yeah. If you don't If you don't have the ability to forgive, cultivating compassion, then you simply don't have the ability to love. You can't. And like I said, there's some good in us and there's some evil in us. They can't exist without one cannot exist without the other. So, wise words. And I know I've talked way more about this stuff before we're digging into the meat of it, but that's okay. We're still going to get into it. So before we do that, I'm going to repeat the affirmations from yesterday because they are very important. So if you didn't write them down from yesterday, here's your opportunity to receive them again. I am understanding. I am forgiving. And even if you're not writing these down, it's good to hear them again and repeat them out loud with me. When I forgive, it is final. I breathe in peace and breathe out the past. The past does not determine my future. I am compassionate. I forgive wholly and completely. I let go of whatever no longer serves me. Again, this list is not exhaustive. You can add to it. You can put your spin, your spice, your flavor on it, whatever you like. But things like this are things that will help you in your process of forgiveness. So today, the next level in your evolution of forgiveness, yesterday we talked about forgiving the people that you love. Today is thinking about forgiving people you know. And these are people like your coworkers, your neighbors, your dentist, or a friend, not your best friend, but like a friend. So you can jot down people that you know, like you actually know. No, these are not strangers, but these are people that you have interactions with that you actually know. So maybe coworker Larry, who's constantly saying, "Hey, Cassandra," and you're like, "Bro, my name's Cassandra. We've worked together for 5 years, and you still mispronounce my name every day." Let's take that example. Any of you guys watching have an example like that? A coworker, neighbor, dentist, postman or lady. Who else might you know that you see regularly? Maybe if you've developed a relationship with your local barista or local bartender. Anyone have an example of somebody that you know that in that capacity that might have an opportunity, availability to forgive? Like a situation? If you can't forgive, then you have to get over yourself. Yeah? Can't or won't, though? That's the question. Remember, if you can't forgive, you're probably getting something out of not forgiving. The anger, the victim, the sadness. It's propelling you, it's fueling you in some way. So anyone have an example for me? Okay, well, as I'm waiting for an example to come in, we'll go with mine of a coworker constantly mispronounces my name. Now, getting something out of not forgiving, that's real. Yeah, super real. Hey, Steve, I'm glad you're here. So let's take that example, the coworker who's always mispronouncing your name, or maybe the coworker who's always, cracking a joke that's kind of offensive to your race, sex, nationality. And, he's a good-natured person. Doesn't have to be a him, could be a her. Generally a good-natured person. And by and large, is nice. It doesn't seem to be offensive, but just pretty much on the regular has something to say that you're just kind of like, don't really need to say that. Why? Ways to forgive that person. Now, there's the Buddhist saying, and I apologize if I get this in the wrong order, but before speaking, to think, is it truthful? Is it necessary? And is it, what's the other one? Is it necessary? Is it truthful? I want to say, is it right? Anyway, it's kind of like check it before you say it kind of thing. I think it's like, does it need to come from me? Something like that. And now, not everyone has been taught to pause and think before they speak. So taking a look at the situation, again, you start off to forgive someone that you know in this capacity. You don't like super know them well. You're not super close, but your feelings are valid. So you picture the situation, you acknowledge your feelings, and you're not overanalyzing. You're not saying like, did I get overly offended? Like, am I just being too sensitive? Because that's when you start that avalanche of, which often can get into just dismissing your feelings, which no, like that's sweeping things under the rug. And that's how you get to be the Joker. No, you're valued. You matter. Okay. So and it's not to say you relive these feelings and these experiences, but you just allow yourself to be acknowledged and say, you know what, I did feel these feelings in this moment. Are these feelings still real for me now outside of the moment? And if so, why? Do they have a trigger? Peel it back. What does this, does this trigger something traumatic that had happened to me in the past? Does this trigger something from back then? And if you can trail it back, sometimes the healing can come from within and say, you know what, this actually has nothing to do with them. Their comment had nothing to do with me. Their comment, and it can be totally, I'm in my own headspace. It had nothing to do with them. It was actually all me. And from there, you can just say, you know what, I totally forgive them. These are my issues. I have to work them out. If that's not the case, and there is something that, you know what, does need to be addressed, they did say something that was in the wrong, it's not just on my end. Then you go into what could be on their end. Let's come from their situation. Are they even aware? Cultivating compassion and putting yourself in their shoes. Maybe they don't even realize what they said. Maybe they come from a background of maybe they have an accent. Maybe they've never heard the name Cassandra and they've only ever heard Cassandra. Maybe they're from Staten Island and it's all Cassandra. And so it just never occurred. And maybe they have their own issues of being corrected, and it's a triggering thing for them. And so anytime I've corrected them and said, no, it's actually Cassandra, they have momentary issues with that. Does that excuse them from saying my name incorrectly? No. But could I understand, just like I'm being triggered, they could have a triggering moment? Yeah, I can understand that. Is it detrimental? No. So can I forgive that? Yes. Does it annoy me? Yes. But could I forgive that? Yes. So when you can find yourself at a balancing point like that, that's when you can take a moment, envision them. I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me. Breathe in peace, breathe out the past. And picture them saying to you, I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me. Breathe in peace, breathe out the past. And again, you can do this as many times as you need. Usually that is enough. Now, I unfortunately ran out of time. There are a few other layers to this. We will pick back up on those tomorrow in tomorrow's Rise and Shine. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for all of your participation. I love, 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 love working with you guys. And I would love to work with you deeper on all of this. So if you have not already, send me a message. Let's schedule a free clarity call. And if you are not on my newsletter mailing list, send me a message. We'll get you in on that so you can find out about this. Or even if you're not on the mailing list and you're interested about the 66 days of PMA, send me a message. I'd love to get you in on that. As always, guys, cough in your elbow, wash your hands, and stay home. Love y'all. Bye.